What's going on, rSpace fam? Time for another out of this world story. Let's go. Wife of 6 years cheated. Stay or go? My wife and I have been married for almost 6 years now, and recently she moved states to get a master's degree. Originally, we had planned on moving down with her, but in the end, we mutually decided the stability of my job, plus insurance, plus just buying a house outweighed the benefit of moving. We had done the long distance thing while dating, and both overcame the obstacles. At the beginning of the year, one of her old roommates moved out and found a new roommate to replace her, a 22-year-old from Spain that was teaching in the same program as my wife. My wife would make comments to me every once in a while about how attractive he is, which wasn't super uncommon for her. One day, we were talking, and she randomly asked how I would feel about an open relationship. This was completely out of left field and something I never saw coming, but she had developed a little bit of a crush on this guy and basically wanted permission to act on it. I said no because I had no intention of venturing outside of our marriage because I love my wife completely. She said okay, and she would respect my wishes, and I thought that was the end of it. About a week later, a few days before I was supposed to go down and visit her for the weekend, she asked if I was really sure about my position, and once again, I reiterated that yes, I had no interest in an open marriage. We had a decently big fight after this, and in the end, she said she wouldn't like me to come visit anymore, which devastated me because I thought this would be a chance to work on a relationship. Things were rocky for a bit after that, but she decided to come up for Valentine's Day weekend. She spent all weekend on her phone texting her new roommate, which was already a huge red flag. I caught a glance of her phone a couple times because I'm definitely the jealous type, and was devastated at what I saw. I was seeing messages such as, "I love your sex eyes," and "Next time, can we try it in a chair?" I sat for a day thinking about it, and finally confronted her about it the next morning. It turns out they'd actually been having sex for the last few weeks, and there were a lot more vulgar texts. And there was no plan on telling me without me finding out like that. She also told me that the real reason she didn't want to come is because she didn't want things to be awkward with her and the guy as roommates. The conversation eventually devolved into that she hadn't felt noticed by me in the 5 years we've been married, and our sex life was basically non-existent. But she discovered again with this guy that she is actually a very sexual person, and that he gave her the companionship that I hadn't been. It turns out, I hadn't been listening to what she had been telling me the whole time. She had told me she felt trapped, how she had dreams of moving around the world, how she wanted to see the world, but I was hearing but never really listening to her, because I didn't want to give up the stability of our current life. I always had the intention of getting to these things eventually, but I wanted to make sure we were financially stable enough to do so. So here I am. I realized that I pushed her to this point. She has and still does tell me that she loves me and will always love me, and that her thing with this guy is purely lust with no feelings whatsoever. I just don't know what to do. I told her how sorry I was and how much I will work to change and be a better person or husband, and she still does want things to work with me. I just don't know if I'm digging myself deeper by continuing on with her. We've been together 10 years now, with almost 6 being married, which is basically a third of my life. And something about that won't allow me to objectively say I'm done. My mental health this week is not in a good place, because every waking second that we're not talking, my brain immediately goes to, are they having sex? What is she doing? Things of that nature. I'm going to see a shrink later this week about this because I don't know what else to do. This one got the community riled up. Truth merchant? Let him have it. OP, this will be long and harsh. Apologies in advance. 1. Your marriage as you thought you knew it is over. Reread that. Internalize that. 2. Lawyer up today. 3. Separate financially. Today. Open a new account where your paycheck goes. Her name is not on the account. 4. Get tested for STDs. Today. Moving forward, part 1. Number 5. Eat better. Exercise more. Drink H2O. 6. Do not leave your house to think on it or whatever. In some states, that can be seen as abandoning the spouse or domicile. 7. Go through all computers, SM, folders, apps, everything. Undelete everything. 7A. Make copies. The lawyer will want these copies. 7B. There is software to undelete anything on the computer. 7C. If you pay her cell phone bill, call the provider for all text and call logs. The lawyer will want to see this. Moving forward, part 2. 8. Your spouse was already cheating. Asking for an open relationship means she was looking for your permission to do something she was already doing. 9. Your spouse does not respect you or your marriage. I have my doubts if this was her first time. 10. Reconciliation is a non-starter. Until she shows remorse, true remorse, you are her provider while she messes around. 11. Do not blame yourself. She did not communicate until after the cheating that she wanted something. She made the choice to cheat. 12. Marriage counseling is another non-starter. The marriage counselor is interested in keeping you together, not your best interests. And until the wife shows remorse and separates 100% from her affair partner, the marriage counselor is a waste of time. Also, marriage counselor helps if you both live together, not in separate states or domiciles. 13. Once your wife realizes that you have done the lawyer and separated the bank accounts, she will suddenly become more attentive. This is a tactic on her part to have you accept her behavior. Your strategy is known as gray rock. 13A. Expect in any conversation any of the following: lies, gaslighting, trickle truth, yelling, screaming, attempts at intimacy, crying, or a combination. 13B. Again, gray rock. Final word of warning. If you take her back, you have condoned her behavior. Remember, OP, you deserve to be somebody's first and only choice. And thank your stars you don't have kids with this cheater. Fallen 1MS wants to jump in on this. Your wife is never going to change her actions as long as you don't give consequences to her actions. The easiest way to get her out of the affair fog is to serve divorce papers. Divorce can be stopped any time before final decree. Don't do the pick-me dance. She will never respect you and thus will never stop the affair. You have to be willing to lose your marriage to save it, and sometimes you might not even want to. She's your rebellious, unruly child and you're her doting but wishy-washy dad. You need to ground her. Immediate hard consequences is the only way to get your wife to get in line. Also, don't you dare take that blame onto yourself. If she had relationship problems, did she ever care to discuss them with you? No. She just built resentment internally and used it to justify traumatizing the person she says she loves. She could have solved all your relationship problems with a talk every night at 8, with a marriage counselor session, by serving divorce papers to you. Sleeping with someone else is not going to solve your relationship issues. Also, you want to know the easiest way to get her out of this whole open marriage bullcrap? Tell her you agree with her proposal, and you've been banging the brains out of 2 to 3 young sweet things in their 20s. You don't really actually need to do it, just tell her, and her reaction will tell you that she doesn't actually want an open relationship. She just wants to open the relationship on her side while keeping you closed off. She just wants to cheat on you and to cover it up with flimsy excuses. No freaking mercy, brother. Love is all fine and well, but you can just date her again after getting divorced. Most important is getting divorced. You can't get your financial life more entangled with an absolute irrational wildcard at this moment. Strange Molasses 1938 has an interesting perspective for us. I have a funny corollary of sorts for this. Post D-Day 1, I, as betrayed spouse, proposed myself the idea of an open marriage, even though I personally had no interest in seeking out other partners. But as I told wayward spouse at the time, the cheating was problematic for me, mostly due to the lying, not the sex itself. I felt betrayed being lied to, but I'm not a jealous person, so the idea of wayward spouse wanting others really did not bother me. But of course, wayward spouse said she wasn't into the open marriage idea. Promised me there was no reason to go to the open route, as there would be no more others, no more cheating. And lo and behold, guess what happened? The cheating continued. Whether the secrecy made it more attractive or what, I don't know or frankly care anymore. But I completely agree that in your case, OP, it was certainly just a way for wayward spouse to feel better about what she'd already been doing. Fallen 1MS comes back. Yeah, it's infuriating how stupid wayward spouses are. I mean, you literally gave her a free rein to do exactly what she wanted to do, and she willfully refused it, just to do what she wanted to do while keeping you in the dark. For what godforsaken reason? How could she not realize that she would have saved her marriage had she just looked at things rationally? I'm sure it's because she's horribly possessive and jealous about you. I've noticed this in a lot of wayward spouses, especially the narc ones. No big deal when they cheat on you, but you talk to someone else and the green-eyed monster comes out in full force. I have a similar story too. My ex-wife, girlfriend, told me she would forgive me and take me back if I ever cheated on her. So I put that statement to the test. I kicked it up to dread level 8, and let me tell you, the expression on your wayward spouse's face when she sees the other sharks circling their prey is priceless. I don't need to tell you that What my ex said were just grandstanding platitudes. She changed her tune quick. And how? Alright, one last quick story. With so many ways to hide infidelity in the information age, how can you ever trust again? Last July, I found out my wife of 7 years was cheating on me. We had gotten into a fight, and as always, she left the house. I was bummed and wanted to cheer myself up, so I grabbed her tablet to watch a movie. I clicked on the photo album of the tablet by mistake and started scrolling through our photos. This made me smile and put me in a good mood, until I saw them. Photos of my wife and one of her customers synced through Google Photos to the tablet, with an exact GPS location of where the photos were taken. Kissing, cuddling. Yeah, the worst part? My in-laws were in on it and encouraged it. It's not a surprise as we recently found out her father is cheating on her mom with a friend on the West Coast. The pictures and messages are disturbing. But hey, father like daughter. Fast forward a few months, and I didn't realize how naive I was and how easy it was to hide the cheating from me. It was going on for the last 2 years. I had suspicions, but never had any proof. A few months later, I met a girl and we started dating. Meanwhile, the whole time, my wife was doing her best to keep in contact with me while hiding it from her new lover, which she immediately moved in with. He threw away a 20-year relationship to be with my wife. As the months went on, she did anything in her power to keep our contact a secret, even going so far as to message me without telling her new lover. My girlfriend at the time knew I was in contact with her and was fine with it. My wife would message me though, Discord, email, Blizzard chat, texts plus WhatsApp, fake emails, Instagram, etc. I was blown away. So many ways to keep conversations a secret. So easy to cheat. One day, we met up for a lunch quick to discuss returning some of each other's possessions. Her new lover didn't know we were meeting. The entire time, she kept checking her phone. Eventually, I got a glimpse and could see she was tracking him on Google Maps. He was property maintenance and has a mobile work truck. This completely shattered my trust, not just for her, but for anyone I would meet in the future. It's so easy to hide these days. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust again when it comes to dating. Has anyone had similar experiences? My therapist says they deserve each other, and she's right, they do. She's already emotionally cheating on him now. When things get rough, they will do the same to each other. Our friend Fallen 1MS replies again. Well, I'll be a bit straightforward with you. Usually people who cheat for the first time display glaring red flags at the start of the affair, when they haven't started cheating yet but have formed deep emotional bonds with their affair partners. Usually their partners rug sweep all these red flags since their trust in their long-term partner gives them express permission to delude themselves into ignoring the red flags. I think there are 2 reasons. 1, people develop codependency over time and pedestalize their partners. 2, give importance to the red flags means your brain has to come to grips with the fact that your long-term partner is cheating on you, and since you don't want to face that trauma or acknowledge it, your brain deludes itself into believing the more easily digestible option, that you're just being paranoid and controlling, and your partner would never do that to you. When you're wearing rose-tinted glasses, red flags just look like regular flags. I think if you fix your picker and stay vigilant, and vet your partners properly before committing to them, you'll be fine. Of course, you could always go FBI-level surveillance every time you catch even a whiff of suspicion, but that's the nuclear option. I think it's important to remember that unless you strap a GoPro onto your partner's head 24/7, there's no way to be 100% sure of their fidelity. It's like driving a car. You know that every time you get in a vehicle, there's a not insignificant chance you'll get in a bad accident. Doesn't mean you swear off driving. What do? You make sure your seatbelt's strapped, the airbags work, etc., etc. You should aim to grow to a point where you can deal with infidelity from your partner and kick them to the curb in immediacy. I'd suggest trying to internalize validation and to develop an abundance mentality. It's amazingly freeing knowing that your self-worth is never tied to anyone else's actions or opinions of you.